Welcome, listeners, but take heed. We will say whatever we need
to share our knowledge, thoughts, and joy, and even things that do annoy.
Before we begin, please be aware, we have a tendency to swear.
You have been warned, make no mistake, so join us now.
We're for Fawkes' sake. Welcome to For Fawkes' Sake, a Harry Potter book movie compare and contrast podcast. I'm Ellen, again joined by our special guest co-host, Abigail.
That's me. Now let's fly into our Phoenix flashback. Last week, we covered the first half of Chapter 15, the Unbreakable Vow, and the somewhat corresponding film scenes. Poor Harry has found himself being the middleman between his best friends, again, while simultaneously being the target of a mob of middle school girls' affections and nefarious plots to dose him. He keeps this at bay by asking the likable and cool Luna Lovegood to go to Slughorn's party with him, but just as friends. The movie actually does include all of this, along with another scene to fully spell out Nazi von Douchebag II's shenanigans, and the plot thickens.
During episode 222, Drama, our Potter Pondering was, who would you invite to Slughorn's Christmas party?
Hi there, Karlee calling in my Potter Pondering for this week. Since I wasn't able to be on the episode, I figured I would call in and let you guys know what my response to the pondering would be. So the pondering was, who would you invite to Slughorn's party? Now there's a couple of different answers to this question. So, if it's like prom and you're allowed to bring your boyfriend who's older than you to this party, which I'm sure Slughorn wouldn't mind, me and Charlie Weasley in this fictional world have had a pen pal relationship, and we are very serious about each other. So, me and Charlie Weasley will show up to this thing. However, if we're only allowed to bring other Hogwarts students, I would have asked Draco Malfoy. I think so, Draco Malfoy. More, I would have asked Tom Felton, but I would have asked Draco Malfoy. And if Malfoy's off the table for varying reasons, because he's Malfoy, then I think I would probably have to go old standby and ask the Harry James Potter. I think that would be a good choice. But yeah, all in all, I would more than likely want to take Charlie Weasley, because a Weasley's just a perfect match. Thanks, guys. I look forward to hearing the episode.
Hi, guys. It's Max here. I think I'm bringing to Slughorn's Christmas party. If he can get out of Azkaban for the night, I am bringing Barty Crouch Jr. He is the best character. He's the best looking character. He's therefore the best guest. If I can't get him out, I'm bringing Vernon Dursley, and he can tell everyone his Japanese golfer joke.
Hi, this is Jessica with my Potter Pondering. I would totally invite Neville to the Christmas party because he's such a sweetheart, and he deserves to not just be a waiter. Like, come on, give the guy some credit. He went to the freaking Ministry of Magic too, sluggy. Why didn't he get an actual invitation? I would take him and be like, hey, Slugworth, this guy is worth a lot more than you think he is, just because you can't get anything out of him. Neville has always been such a sweetheart. He was a cutie pie from day one, and if you didn't like him then, you don't deserve him now. I'm Team Neville all the way. Okay, bye!
Hey guys, it's Jackson calling in my pondering. Who would I take to Slughorn's party? I'd probably take Luna, if we're talking Harry Potter characters, and she wasn't going with Harry, of course. But yeah, I'd go with Luna. She's awesome. If we're talking real life, I'd take any one of you ladies in this awesome group. Yeah, you're awesome people, and I would definitely take you to that party.
Hi, Ellen and Karlee and Abigail. This is Megan calling in with my Potter Pondering. So I love this question because I actually kind of pulled a Romilda Vane at prom school, except I, as a senior, convinced one of my friends to bring me as his date to his junior prom. So we were at least friends. And I didn't obviously have to use a love potion or anything. So I was not quite on the level of Romilda Vane. But so who would I bring to Slughorn's party? Well, I really, I see myself more being the friend who convinces someone to bring me with them. But great question. I loved it. And thanks.
Good evening, FSS Pod. This is Jeremy Levy calling in with my pondering. I have had some experience with this question before because there was a experience at my school, the Ricardo School for the Deaf and the Blind, with homecoming. I did not really want to go, but if I did go, I would have taken a friend of mine named Karlee, and so that's who I would take to the Christmas party. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for your responses.
Our trivia question last week was, what is the name of the man who wrote Blood Brothers, My Life Amongst the Vampires? Slughorn's old student and friend, Eldred Warple, wrote Blood Brothers.
Congratulations goes to Callista Whitewolf.
Woohoo!
Like I said last time, I know that Jessica was caught up in Seasons 3, Part 2 of Bridgerton, so is she going to be back this time? Is she going to try and get there before Callista? Is somebody else going to come in?
You never know. For now, let's dive into the second half of Chapter 15, The Unbreakable Vow, and the fairly corresponding film scenes.
Chapter 15, The Unbreakable Vow, Part 2. As soon as Hermione is gone, Parvati and Lavender begin discussing the gossip that she is dating Cormac McLaggen. Ron looks strangely blank and doesn't say anything as Harry just ponders the depths to which girls will sink for revenge. When he arrives in the entrance hall at 8, there's a large group of girls resentfully watching him approach Luna, who's wearing a set of silver-spangled robes, but otherwise looking very nice. He's glad to see she left off her radish earrings, butterbeer cork necklace, and spectra specs. He greets her and asks if they should get going. She agrees and asks where the party is. When he responds it's in Slughorn's office and mentions a vampire is going to be there, Luna asks if he means Rufus Scrimgeour. Harry clarifies that she means the Minister of Magic, and Luna insists that he is a vampire, sharing that her father wrote an article about it when he first took over for Cornelius Fudge, but was forced to bury it by someone at the ministry. Harry thinks this is unlikely, but is used to Luna parroting her father's bizarre views and doesn't reply. As they approach Slughorn's office, they can hear laughter, music, and loud conversations. Slughorn's office is much larger than the usual teacher's study and has been draped with emerald, crimson, and gold hangings, making it look like they're in a vast but very crowded tent. Slughorn calls to Harry the moment he and Luna squeeze through the door and tells him there's so many people he wants him to meet. He tightly grips his arm and leads him into the party. Harry grabs Luna's hand and drags her along with him. First, they meet Slughorn's old student, Eldred Warple, the author of Blood Brothers, My Life Amongst the Vampires, and his friend, Sanguini. The small, stout, bespectacled man shakes Harry's hand and enthusiastically mentions how he had just asked Slughorn where the biography of Harry Potter is. He offers to write it himself, suggesting they do a few 4 to 5 hour long interview sessions, and he could have it finished in a few months. He's briefly distracted as Sanguini begins to edge towards a nearby group of girls, and has to sharply tell him to stay put. He then turns his attention back to Harry to attempt to continue his pitch, but Harry firmly says he's not interested and gives an excuse to leave. He spots Hermione and calls after her, who is relieved to see him and looks rather disheveled. He asks what happened to her, and she explains that she just left Cormac under the mistletoe. Harry tells her it serves her right, and she just says she thought he'd annoy Ron the most, though she also considered Zacharias Smith. Harry is revolted by the idea, but Hermione now wishes she had chosen him, since McLaggen makes Grop look like a gentleman. She suggests they go to the other side of the room where they can see him coming, and they make their way over there before realizing Professor Trelawney is standing there alone. Luna politely says hello to her, and Trelawney mentions how she hasn't seen her in class lately. Luna explains that she has friends this year, and in an angry, drunken titter, Trelawney begins ranting that Dumbledore did not get rid of the horse once she returned to the school, calling it an insult. Harry uses this opportunity to ask Hermione if she's planned on telling Ron she interfered with the keeper tryouts. She insists she wouldn't stoop that low, and Harry is relieved because he doesn't want him to fall apart before the next match. Hermione is frustrated that boys only seem to care about Quidditch, but disappears very quickly mid-rant when she notices Cormac approaching. He asks Harry if he's seen Hermione, and Harry quickly says he hasn't, before turning to join in Luna's conversation, forgetting Trelawney is there. When the professor notices Harry for the first time, she begins talking to him about being the chosen one in a very carrying whisper. She wonders why he hasn't returned to divination since, for him, the subject is of the utmost importance. Slughorn appears on her other side and declares that they all think their subject is the most important. He then mentions how he has never seen such a natural at potions, comparing him to his mother and Severus, who he seems to materialize out of thin air. He again mentions Harry's exceptional potion making and offers some credit to the former potions master. Snape narrows his eyes and mentions that he never had the impression he managed to teach Potter anything at all. Slughorn simply shouts that it's natural ability, bringing up the fine Draught of Living Death from their first lesson before asking Harry about the other classes he's taking. As he lists them off, Snape interjects to sneer that they are the subjects required to become an Auror, and Slughorn booms that Harry will be a great one. Luna then says she doesn't think Harry should be an Auror, because they're part of the Rotfang conspiracy working to bring down the Ministry of Magic from within using a combination of dark magic and gum disease. Harry inhales mead up his nose as he starts laughing, and his spirits are raised even higher as Filch drags Draco Malfoy in by the ear. He brings him to Professor Slughorn, letting him know that the boy was lurking in an upstairs corridor, and claims to have an invitation to the party but was delayed setting out. Malfoy admits he wasn't invited, and Filch is ready to dole out some punishment before Slughorn speaks up, allowing him to stay. Harry isn't surprised to see how unhappy this makes Filch, but also notices that Malfoy seems equally unhappy, and Snape is looking at him both angry and possibly a little afraid. But then, Filch walks away and Malfoy composes his face into a smile as he thanks Slughorn and sucks up to him a little. Harry stares at him, noticing he looks kind of ill, until Snape speaks up to ask for a word with Draco. Slughorn tells Severus not to be too hard on him, but as head of house, Snape insists and tells Draco to follow him. Harry stands there for a moment, then tells Luna he needs to use the bathroom and will be back in a bit. Once out of the party, he pulls his invisibility cloak out of his pocket and throws it over himself before running down the corridor in pursuit of Snape and Malfoy. Pressing his ear to door after door, he worries he won't find them until he reaches the last classroom in the corridor and hears voices. Snape is telling Draco he can't afford mistakes to avoid expulsion, and Draco is insisting he didn't have anything to do with it. Snape hopes he's telling the truth, saying it was both clumsy and foolish, and he's already suspected of having a hand in it. Malfoy angrily asks who suspects him, repeating that he didn't do it, and saying that Bell Girl must have had an enemy no one knows about. He then tells Snape not to look at him like that. He knows what he's doing, and it won't work. After a pause, Snape comments that Aunt Bellatrix has been teaching him occlumency, and asks what he's trying to conceal from his master. Draco insists that he's not trying to conceal anything from him, but rather stopping Snape from butting in, and Harry wonders what happened to make Malfoy talk to Snape, whom he had always liked and respected, like this. Snape questions if this is why he's been avoiding him all term, mentioning what would happen to anyone else who failed to report to his office when told to. Malfoy tells him to put him down for detention or report him to Dumbledore, and Snape responds that he knows he does not wish to do either of those things. When Draco says to stop telling him to come to his office, Snape responds that he's trying to help him. He swore to his mother he would, and he made the unbreakable vow. Draco tells him he will have to break it because he doesn't need his help. It's his job and he has a plan. It's just taking longer than he thought it would. Snape asks him about his plan, and Malfoy responds that it's none of his business. He again offers his assistance, but Malfoy refuses, stating that he has all the assistance he needs and isn't alone. Snape points out that he was alone tonight and got caught wandering the corridors, calling it an elementary mistake. Malfoy raises his voice as he retorts that he would have had Crabbe and Goyle if he hadn't have put them in detention. Snape instructs him to keep his voice down and reminds Malfoy that Crabbe and Goyle need to work harder to pass their defense against the dark arts OWL this time. Malfoy calls it a joke since none of them need protection from the dark arts, but Snape reminds him it is an act that is crucial to success. He asks where Draco thinks he would be if he hadn't known how to act, and again tells him that he is being incautious, wandering around at night and getting caught. He reiterates that he really should confide in him, but Malfoy accuses him of wanting to steal his glory. Snape coldly tells him that he's speaking like a child, and when he states his understanding that he's upset over his father's capture and imprisonment, Draco walks away and flings the door open, barely giving Harry any time to move to the side. He remains crouched down as Malfoy walks down the corridor, and Snape emerges from the classroom with an unfathomable expression. As the professor returns to the party, Harry stays hidden under his cloak, mind racing.
The movie section starts at the Christmas party, where Harry and Slughorn are getting their picture taken together. Slughorn walks away, and Harry is approached by Neville, who is dressed in a catering outfit. He offers Harry a drink and explains that he didn't get into the Slug Club, but that it's okay, mentioning that Slughorn's got Belby handing out towels in the loo. Harry turns down the drink and looks around, smiling, noticing Hermione disappearing behind a gauzy curtain. He goes to check on her, and finding her a little disheveled, asks what happened to her. Hermione adjusts her hair as she explains she just escaped from Cormac under the mistletoe. Harry is appalled she invited Cormac, and she admits that she thought it would annoy Ron most. A waiter finds them behind the curtain and offers them a tray of dragon tartare. Hermione initially doesn't want any but takes the whole tray when the waiter mentions they give one horribly bad breath. She eats one, saying it might keep Cormac at bay. Then she sees him coming and hands the tray to Harry before ducking away. Harry says he thinks she's gone to powder her nose, and Cormac calls her a slippery little minx before eating one of the dragon tartare off the tray. He looks down at it and asks what he is eating. Harry tells him they are Dragon Balls, just before Snape flourishes the curtain. As the professor looks at the two boys suspiciously, Cormac leans forward and spews all over his feet. Snape gives him a month's worth of detention. Harry tries to sneak away, but Snape tells him not so fast, letting him know he only wishes to convey a message from Professor Dumbledore. He will be traveling and asked him to pass along his best and wish him a happy holidays. Harry asks where he is traveling, but Snape simply walks away without another word. The party is then disrupted when Filch drags a struggling Malfoy in and informs Professor Slughorn that he was lurking in an upstairs corridor, claiming to be invited to his party. Malfoy confesses that he was gate crashing, and Snape steps forward, saying he will escort him out. Draco agrees in a very disrespectful tone, and the two walk away, leaving behind an awkward silence. Slughorn tells everyone to carry on, and the party sounds resume. The scene cuts to Draco and Snape quickly walking through the dark corridor as Draco evasively says maybe he cursed Katie Bell, maybe he didn't, asking what it is to him. Snape pushes him into the wall and snarls that he swore to protect him, saying he made the unbreakable vow. Malfoy insists he doesn't need protection, saying he was chosen for this out of all the others, and he won't fail him. As Snape is responding that Draco is scared, the camera pans to show around the corner where Harry is leaning against the wall to listen out of sight. He hears Snape offer to assist him, and Draco desperately says no. and insists he was chosen and it is his moment.
Overall, this movie scene was very accurate to the book.
It really was.
It's just also missing a lot.
Yes. I expected that movie scene to last a lot longer
I
than
know.
it did after reading the corresponding parts in the chapter.
You would be, well, maybe not surprised, but maybe surprised how often that is the case, where the movie section is like 3 sentences and I read the book chapter for like 20 minutes.
I'm not surprised by that. It always amazes me how quickly a movie scene can go.
Right. And I'm not exactly a very succinct writer. I tend to really like to include the details, especially in the movie scenes. So I can even draw out a movie scene to be a lot longer. Like I can make a 5-minute movie scene pretty long when I write it out because I describe things going on in the background sometimes too. But this just wasn't one of those things. There just wasn't a lot going on. It was the bare bones, the lemon water of what we got. Mm-hmm. But what they included was overall pretty accurate.
Yes, my favorite is I thought it would annoy Ron the most.
Which isn't a ding to the book. Like that was in there.
Yep, word for word.
Book took it a little further though because, well, the chapter started off because of where I cut it with Parvati and Lavender just being like, oh my God, Hermione's dating Cormac McLaggen. And they're just discussing everything they suspected about Hermione and everything they know about Cormac, who, cocky douchebag that he is, at least in the movie, he really is cute.
He is. I mean, he's a very attractive boy, you know, because that's what he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they talk about them gossiping, all I can hear is what I used to hear in high school. Like,
yeah.
Oh, what do you think they've done?
Oh, for sure.
What base do you think they've gotten to? How much snogging do you think they've done?
So much snogging, especially at this party, apparently.
Right. Gross.
And Harry's just like, holy crap. Like, women will go pretty low to get some revenge. So he knows exactly what's going on. Ron maybe knows, but he's just not sure how to feel about it right now. And we did not get that moment in the movie because they just jumped right over to it. Like, Hermione does admit that she thought it would annoy him, but we never really get to see Ron's reaction to this.
No, and that is a complete bummer.
It was also the whole point of her going with him. So the fact that they're like, we don't need to include that.
Yeah.
But then this kind of lines up with the part we put in the last section just because of the way the chapter's cut. But we do in the book see Harry meeting Luna in the entrance hall and then they walk there. Now they didn't meet in the entrance hall in the movie, but we did see them meeting last episode and walking. But I love the fact that there was a large group of girls watching him meet up with his date. Like, it wasn't me.
Oh, see, I don't interpret it as like pouting. I interpret them as like angry.
I'm sure it was that too, but I feel like was the resentfully is what did that for me. It specifically said they were resentfully watching him approach Luna.
Yeah, I interpret that as like, I can't believe it's her and not me. I'm way better.
There is probably an element of all of the above.
I got news for you girls. No one's better than Luna Lovegood.
Luna is the best. She is likable and cool, as we said.
Mm-hmm. Totally comfortable being herself.
And I thought this was great because the book described her as wearing the silver spangled robes, but otherwise looking very nice and not having all of her weird accoutrements all over her, like her radish earrings and the butterbeer cork necklace and the spectre specs, and definitely not the lion headdress, although that would have been hilarious.
I would have loved seeing that. I would have loved seeing that in the movie.
Now, the movies never like to include dress robes for the girls. They just put them in dresses. But she was wearing a very silver spangly dress.
She was.
So, good job, movies. I feel like if it wasn't dress robes, at least you got the color right for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start heading to the party, which Luna wants to know where it is. It's in Slughorn's office. And then he makes mention, like, apparently there's going to be a vampire there. And Luna, being Luna, just says, Rufus Scrimgeour? And Harry's just like, wait, what? You mean the Minister of Magic? Yeah, he's totally a vampire. My father wrote an article about it when he first took over for the old minister. And somebody at the ministry made him take it down. He wasn't allowed to publish it. Obviously, they don't want it coming out, the truth.
Yep. That's the problem.
That's
Luna.
exactly what that was. And I think it's hilarious that Harry is so used to this shit that Luna says that he doesn't even react to it anymore for the most part. He's just like, well, yeah, no, that par for the course. And again, doesn't respond. Like, Harry just does not get to hang out with people he gets to actually talk to at this point.
No, this big chunk of the movie, he's just like existing amongst what he feels like is crazy behavior.
But they get to his office. You can start hearing party sounds as they get closer. And it specifically states that Slughorn's office is much larger than the usual teacher's study. And he's not sure if it was like magically enhanced to appear so, or if it's just genuinely a bigger study. He did specifically request this one back when Dumbledore was offering him the job. So it is entirely possible this was just like the office to have.
Yeah, and knowing Slughorn, like he wanted the larger, more prestigious
Oh,
office.
for sure. And he feels like he deserves it.
Yes.
I'm positive of that.
It's not even about earning it with Slughorn. It's like, I deserve it. I am a celebrity in my own right.
The spider. It's his web.
Yep.
Yep. It's also draped with emerald and crimson and gold hangings, which kind of gives it the impression of them being inside of a tent. And I felt like the movie grasped that a little bit.
Yeah, but it wasn't completely obvious watching the movie. It looked like he really had just done some fancy hangings.
And they were like sheer, and it wasn't as tent like, but it was alluded to. I would say they tried.
Yeah, if you didn't read the books, you didn't know what it was supposed to look like.
Yeah, it worked. It looked like a party. The moment that he and Luna managed to squeeze their way in, because it's a pretty big party. Apparently he invited all of the teachers. I get the impression if Trelawney is there, in the book at least. But it's, despite being a larger space, it's packly tight with people, so they have to squeeze in. And Slughorn, I feel like, was probably doing the exact same thing that Romilda Vane was, where he was just like standing in a position where he could see the door the moment that Harry would arrive. Harry, my boy!
He's not carrying the gillyweed or the chocolates.
No. He's just ready to show off his Star Slug Club member.
His trophy student.
Yeah, absolutely. Harry is a trophy. And wants to introduce him to some people, one of which is Eldred Warple, who is a former student of his, now friend, and the author of Blood Brothers, My Life Amongst the Vampires.
And his friend Sanguini. And this was all a part of our trivia question.
Yep. They describe Eldred Warple as being a small, stout, bespectacled man who is another one of those people that just enthusiastically shakes Harry's hand. Like, every random person that meets Harry is just like, Harry Potter. I'm sure Harry is both used to this and annoyed by this. I just love book Harry, though. They did not make movie Harry as humble.
No, they didn't. And it is very disappointing.
Because book Harry, like, shakes his hand, but then when Warple makes the comment about how he was just asking Slughorn when they're going to get the biography of Harry Potter, Harry's like, where are you now?
Ew.
And he's really awkward about that kind of thing. And he gets slightly distracted because Sanguini, being a vampire, starts eyeing girls and like edging closer to them, and you know he's hungry.
Right.
So Warple's just like, stay here, have a pasty, and just like shoves food at him.
Like real food, not
Real
vampire
food.
food.
No kids. And then tries to turn back to Harry to continue telling him that I'll happily write it for you. Like, we can get this done in several 4 to 5 hour long interview sessions, and you know that's Harry's worst nightmare right there.
Right.
Like, he doesn't want to talk about himself for 4 to 5 minutes, 4 to 5 seconds, let alone 4 to 5 hours.
And in multiple sessions.
Right? No, that's his literal hell right there.
Yes.
And Harry's just like, I am definitely not interested. I see my friend, gotta go.
Yeah, none of this happens in the movie. It just starts with Harry happily posing for a picture with Slughorn.
Which is what I'm saying about him not being as humble, because book Harry would not have been smiling for that picture. He may have appeased him and posed for it.
Yeah, but it would have been like the smile my twin brother gives when we have to take his pictures. I'm doing this for you and for nobody else.
Remember in the second book when Lockhart forced him to take a picture with him? Even moving photograph Harry was trying to get out of the picture.
Yes, it's like he's trying to walk away. He's being pulled back in.
And that's something that Karlee and I have talked about a lot, is that the way they set this up, Harry's relationship with Slughorn in the book, like from the get-go, Dumbledore told him, like, I want you to let him collect you. I want you to get close to him. And Harry has been up his butt trying to do that. Because we were even complaining back in the Three Broomsticks scene when Ron and Hermione are having an exchange over Ginny and Dean snogging.
Ugh.
And Harry is just completely oblivious to all of it. But then later on, Hermione says to him, I've seen the way you look at her. How does it feel that knowing you can't be with her because she's with Dean? And literally they had a moment where we could see that hurt on Harry's face, and he was too busy trying to get Slughorn's attention to even react to it.
Yeah.
So I don't like the way they set this up. It's just, it doesn't feel like Harry to me.
It doesn't. Even the Harry trying to pretend to be collected, the desire to be collected wouldn't be that.
He was bad at it in the book, too.
Yes. Yeah, I was
Not
going to say
that-
it wouldn't be that good. He would be bad at it.
And he does have moments in the book where he's a little better about it, but he's not there yet. In the movies, he's just like, yeah, I'll pose for this picture with this man.
Yeah. I am the chosen one.
Yeah, it was too much of that. He wasn't humble enough.
No, he was not.
But in the book, he sees Hermione for real. Like when he told Warple he saw his friend, he really had seen her. So he rushes after her, very relieved, and then is like, why do you look like an absolute mess?
Yes. Yeah.
She's like, I just left Cormac under the mistletoe.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh yeah, that serves you right. What were you thinking anyway? Well, I was thinking that would annoy Ron the most.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those few instances in which Hermione is not really using her brain.
No, this was absolute reactive hormonal revenge.
In fairness, she's right. It would annoy Ron the most. It's just in the movie. You don't get to see any of that.
No, you don't get to see it. And the movie does have her say that. This actually happens exactly. Harry finds her. She's looking very disheveled. She even says I just left Cormac. However, in the movie, he's like, that's who you asked? Whereas in the book, we already know that's who she asked because she made a meal out of making sure everyone knew that's who she asked.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Movie Hermione was like, yeah, I'm really embarrassed by my decision here, so I'm just going to not talk about it.
Especially after realizing it never occurred to her to just go with Harry.
Yes.
What I also really appreciated, and since he wasn't really a thing in the movies, I can see why they didn't bother to include any of this. But it's just like a delightful little snack to read that she also considered asking Zacharias Smith. Especially after the commentary he just did for the Quidditch match. Because he literally spent the bulk of it trying to insult Ron. And then Ginny, and kind of got shut down from that because both of them are really good Quidditch players. Especially Ron thinking he was doped up on Felix Felicis. But Ginny had scored most of the goals. Ron was stopping everything, and Zacharias had to stop wondering if they were only on the team because Harry liked them. So I feel like that would have probably annoyed Ron a lot too.
She had multiple options for annoyance.
Yeah, but this actually makes Harry feel revolted. The idea of her going with Zacharias Smith makes Harry like, why Smith? Like, Cormac is at least cute, I guess. I don't know if that's what Harry's thinking, but Smith.
Well, he's a little too self-absorbed to be insulting to other people.
Yeah. But Hermione is like, God, I wish I had chosen Smith because McLaggen makes Grop look like a gentleman. Which, I mean, Grop in the movie was a little grabsy, but in the book, he was perfectly sweet. Just really big. But she's like, let's go over here so that we can see him coming. And they like rush to the other side of the room. And as the path clears, but when it's already too late, she's seen them, they realize that standing over there is Professor Trelawney. And Luna, being Luna, says hi to her.
Right.
And she seems drunk enough, Trelawney does, that she doesn't immediately notice Harry is there, and Luna's keeping her well distracted because she's like, I haven't seen you in class lately, and Luna's just like, well, I have friends this year. And Trelawney, being a little bit drunk and racist, calls him Dobbin, which is a nickname for a horse, and then just like flat out says, you think that Dumbledore would have gotten rid of the horse once I return to the school. Frankly, I find this insulting.
Right.
And like, okay, lady. Trelawney's kind of a Karen.
She is. She doesn't have the haircut, but she is.
She's kind of a Karen. Well, this is going on. Harry leans into Hermione and quietly says, you're not gonna tell Ron that you interfered with the keeper tryouts, are you?
No. I would never stoop that low.
That low. And he's like, you asked Cormac McLaggen to go to the dance. She's like, this is completely different.
Yeah, this is justified.
And he's just like, well, good, because I don't want him to fall apart before the next match. And Hermione's just like, boys, all you care about is Quidditch. All I've like, between kissing, aggressive kissing is what it sounds like. Cormac just talks about his greatest hits of being a Quidditch player. Like, that's
Right.
it.
My mouth either needs to be connected to your mouth, or if it's not, I do need to be talking about myself and what I'm good at, which is Quidditch. Yeah. Ugh. It's like the star football player, and Hermione's the star nerd, and she can't take it.
No.
I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't have been able to either, Hermione.
She gets cut off mid-rant, or she cuts herself off, I should say, because she notices him approaching, and she just like disappears. She disappears so fast. Harry's just like, did she just apparate? Like, how'd she do that?
Where did she go?
And when Cormac comes up to him and asks if he's seen her, he just goes, oh, I haven't seen her.
Right. Yeah. And in the movie, it's like, oh, I think she went to powder her nose, because that's one space he can't go into.
Which was a good excuse. But
Right.
no, in the book, he just plays dumb.
Yep.
And then turns to join Luna's conversation, forgetting that she's talking to Professor Trelawney, who he really can't stand. And now, despite being drunk, there's no avoiding noticing that this is Harry Potter, who she absolutely loves to use as an object in her divination. So she's immediately like, the chosen one.
Sounds all, my precious
Right,
about
like,
it.
Why haven't you returned to divination? For you, the subject is of the utmost importance.
My precious.
Exactly. And kind of saved by Slughorn, he appears on her other side and starts talking about how all teachers think that their subject is the most important. And then he starts raving about Harry's potion skills and talks about how he's a natural like his mother, and mentions Severus, who
Just materializes.
but he like grabs him from apparently nowhere and just like pulls him up next to him too, and starts filling him on how amazing Harry's been doing in potions, and saying some of this credit has to go to you.
Yeah, no, I didn't teach him anything. Or
Yeah.
at least my impression is I have imparted no wisdom on this child.
And honestly, Harry did well on his OWLs for potions. Like, he got exceeds expectations. So he did have to have learned something. But Snape wasn't exactly a imparter of information. He would write the directions on the board, and then they would just have to follow them. He did that way more often than he had them follow the book. So I think he was putting his modified directions on the board.
And he was, also trying to understand who of these students will figure out the tiny little nuances. There's a hidden factory in potions. That's what we call in business, like, processes people follow on the side that aren't documented.
Yeah.
The hidden factory of potions. Like, can you figure out what little tiny detail is missing here?
And none of them could.
Nope.
There was not a single person in Harry's year that had that ability, because Hermione is very by the book. And Harry can follow directions well enough. So he'd follow what's on the board, and as long as Snape or somebody else wasn't messing with his potion, he could successfully make potions. However, now all of a sudden he's this natural who shows all of these instincts and made this draft of living death even better than Snape's first attempt. And Snape is starting to look super suspicious about this. He's just like, I'm sorry, what? And Harry's like,
really, Potter? Tell me about this.
Harry's like, the last thing I need is Snape looking into these newfound potion skills that I have.
Yeah.
Especially since we know, we've read the book before, we've watched the movie before. We know he's going to know exactly where they came from if he finds out about that book.
Precisely. And he just, in general, doesn't want Snape's attention attracted to him whatsoever.
And I don't know if Slughorn is just good at changing an awkward subject, because he is very good at facilitating conversations and making connections and stuff. So I don't know if he actually is capable of sensing that sort of thing, like this is getting awkward, let's just change the subject a bit. What other classes are you taking, Harry, my boy? And Harry starts listing them off, and Snape's just like, basically, you're taking everything required to become an Auror. And Harry's like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And Slughorn, being Slughorn, says, and you'll be a great one. And then you've got Luna over there who says, I don't think you should become an Auror, Harry, because they're part of the Rotfang conspiracy, working to bring down the Ministry of Magic from within, using a combination of dark magic and gum disease.
Right. And he inhales his mead up his nose.
And someone, Steve Kloves, actually read this and thought, we don't need this as a party line.
Right, that's what I was about to say. None of it actually happens. Like, that would extend that scene just a little bit more, and there would be some comic relief.
And it would be a lot better, I think, than how they did bring Snape into the scene. Mm-hmm. Although, I do appreciate the visual. It's not something we get in the movie, but it makes my brain picture it. When Alan Rickman, who we all know that I love.
Yes, your old man crush.
Abigail is actually the one who texted me. She was the first person to text me on the day that we found out Alan Rickman died and say, your old man crush died. It was Abigail. So she knows very well how much I love Alan Rickman. And I really loved the idea of picturing Dumbledore telling Snape to tell Harry this message about, please pass along that I will be traveling and will not be able to see him, but I wish him my best and hope he has a happy holidays. And I just love the idea of the look that would be on Alan Rickman's Snape face.
Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to make me tell this child something you can tell him yourself?
Can't you send him an owl?
Yes. Send him an owl. Send him a different person. Just not
anybody.
Me.
Why are you making me do this? Yeah. And we didn't get it, but it made me picture it. And I am grateful for that image. So I'll give it that much. But it was sort of a weird way to shoehorn Snape into this scene, because in reality, Dumbledore was never going to ask him to do that.
No, that's correct.
And I would have much rather have had this suspicion start to brew a little bit, because all of a sudden, after 5 years, Harry's good at potions?
What happened?
How? Wait, what? I'm sorry, what?
I know you did not go home over the summer and study.
Right. Regardless, Snape is now in the scene in the movie as he was in the book, and it was enough to line this back up pretty well, I would say, for the rest of it. So now they're interrupted, which hopefully is enough to distract Snape from his suspicion. I actually love the fact, though, also in the movie, now that I'm thinking of it, that Harry's like, he's traveling, where's he traveling? And Snape just looks at him and walks away and doesn't say anything. Like, it's just one of those things that make me love Alan Rickman even more, because I don't know that it would elicit that same level of love had any other actor been the one to do that. There's just like, I've never known another actor to be able to silently do a mic drop like that.
No.
He just like mic drops with his face and walks off. I'm like, I love it. It's amazing.
It's not even awkward. Like, it's not like he slowly backs away and keeps eye contact. He just looks at him for a moment and then turns and walks away.
Like, why do you actually think I would answer this question? he can just say so much with his face in the briefest second. It's amazing. And I did like that moment. I didn't hate it. It was just awkward. It was very shoehorned in.
Yes.
But like I said, they are interrupted by Filch dragging Nazi von Douchebag II in. In the book, it's by his ear. In the movie, it's really more by his arm, but I feel like dragging somebody by their ear could probably do some damage. Maybe don't do that.
I mean, but I did feel like I was denied a just brief moment of joy seeing that. Like seeing him drug in by his ear would have been great.
The excuse of why he's there is exactly the same book to movie, up to the point of him lurking in an upstairs corridor and claiming that he was invited to the party but just late setting out. And in both, Malfoy's just like, all right, fine, I wasn't invited, I was trying to gate crash. Identical.
Yes.
Full lemonade right there. Absolute ding. But it sort of gets a little bit different from here because in the book, Slughorn's just like, it's Christmas. You can stay. After all, I knew your grandfather. Mm-hmm. He knew his father too, but we're not going to talk about that right now because his father is currently in Azkaban.
Right.
Currently in the ban. And in the book, Harry's just like, okay, I understand why this news makes Filch unhappy because now Filch doesn't get to do his punishments that he loves so much. But why does Nazi von Douchebag II also look unhappy? If he was really trying to gate crash this party and now he's allowed to stay, why is he upset about that? And he also notices, because Harry is only ever observant when he's meddling, so meddle powers activate, he also notices that Snape is looking at Draco with a mixture of anger and kind of fear.
Yeah, what would elicit that in Snape's normal RBF?
And I feel like Harry needs to know.
I would need to know. Be like, wait a second. That face normally never moves. And I can actually tell you are a combination of angry and scared.
He almost always looks angry.
Right.
What is this underlying fear thing going on? Now, obviously, we know he's just worried Draco's going to do something really stupid, which could literally lead to Snape's death. If Snape does not protect him, he could literally die. And I ultimately don't think that Snape is afraid of death. But I do think that at this point, there's still a lot he has to do before he's ready for that.
I agree. He's not afraid of death. He will, and he does, embrace death when it's time, but not before he finishes everything he has been set out to do.
And then in the book, Snape just asks for a word with Draco. He is actually going to let him stay at the party, technically. Mm-hmm. But he asks for a word with him first. And Slughorn's like, oh, don't be too hard on him. And Snape's just like, as head of house, I will decide how hard I need to be on him. Giggity. No, ew. Moving on. It's a little different in the movie.
Yep.
Because he's just flat out like, I'll escort him out.
Yes. There's no indication that he is allowed to stay. He escorts him out. They duck out. They start having their conversation, and then there's no Harry, like seeing Harry disappear in an invisibility cloak. It's like he just kind of slowly and quietly snuck out behind them and found a place to hide.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Certain changes like that I can understand because the book is from Harry's perspective.
Right.
So because it's from Harry's perspective, we have to see Harry make that decision to just full on meddle. And he stands there for a minute and he just goes, meddling powers activate, and tells Luna he's going to go use the bathroom and just leaves. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'll be back in a bit. And then once he's out of sight of everyone, he pulls his invisibility cloak out of his pocket because Dumbledore has instructed to keep it with him at all times, which I love pointing out because later on he tells Dumbledore he has to go get it even though it's with him. I just think it's so funny that was the instructions.
I just love that it fits in his pockets. Like, what kind of pockets do you have?
Cloaky pockets.
I want those pockets.
I'm sure that it has something to do too with the nature of the cloak.
Yes.
There's probably like magic built into it to where it's
like Hermione's purse.
when you fold it up, it becomes very, very, very small.
Yes.
At least that's how I like to imagine it. But he does, like, we see it all from his perspective. He covers himself with the cloak and then he goes on a hunt to find them. And we see all of that. Well, not see it, but we read all of that. And he's literally pressing his ear to every single door down this corridor. And it isn't until he gets all the way to the last one that he hears voices. In the movie, we actually get to see it from Snape and Draco's perspective, so to speak. Or it's our perspective, but we're focused on them. And it's not as covert.
Not at all.
Snape just like shoves Malfoy into a wall and starts yelling at him in the corridor. Like,
yeah, not even, it's like there's no sense of urgency to make sure that they don't get caught talking the way that they are.
Right. And it's so funny too, because in the book, that is half of the conversation Harry overhears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Snape is literally mad and a little afraid of Malfoy because he's being stupid and reckless, and he's doing things, making dumb mistakes, actually like suspected of the one guilty of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you can't do that, you have to be more careful. And in the movie, he's not being careful at all himself. It's just funny.
And and here's the thing, like with Malfoy, I get not being careful because he's always carried around this sense of entitlement and he literally doesn't care what you see him doing.
No, not at all.
So if he suddenly became more cautious, that would draw more attention than him just doing whatever the hell he feels like.
Probably true. But in this instance, I can only assume that a floor above is where the room of requirement is. And he, in the movie, had to have been caught on his way out.
Right.
Because it worked.
Yeah, that apple looked delicious.
In the book, I'm thinking he would have gotten caught on his way in.
Oh, yeah. I never really thought about that. I was still just assuming he got caught on his way out.
Could have.
I mean, either way, Filch is a sneaky motherfucker.
At this point, he hasn't been successful. And it's still early enough in the night that I kind of feel like he was just waiting till his common room cleared out a little bit more and sneaking out. But Crabbe and Goyle were in detention because, like, Malfoy has clearly been letting his studies slide. He's so stressed about this. And he has been dragging his friends / cronies into helping him. They're his lookouts, though we don't technically know that yet. We are learning it right now in some fashion. Mm-hmm. He's been dragging them along with him, and that's been affecting their grades. And especially in Defense Against the Dark Arts, because I get the impression that they already aren't taking that seriously since it's a joke. Mm. And these two already didn't pass their OWL. So they're doing probably like a remedial Defense Against the Dark Arts and are going to have to retake their OWL. They're probably doing like 5th year level stuff over again.
Right. Yeah, they have to do better this time. We don't need to take that seriously. Come on.
And this is when we learned that they would have been his lookouts if they hadn't been in detention for that. Mm-hmm. And Snape gives that really good comment about how, where does Draco think he would be if he weren't capable of acting well? And this is a lot more information than what the movie ended up giving. Like, I can understand overhearing all of this why Harry is as suspicious as he is.
Oh, yeah.
This is totally sus. And the movie pared it down so much. It was very vague. He was just like, maybe I did, maybe I didn't attack Katie Bell. What do you care? And he was like, I was given a job. But there was no, like, in the book, Snape specifically, like, looking at him, staring right into his eyes. And Malfoy's like, I know what you're doing. It's not going to work. And then Snape's like, oh, I see Aunt Bellatrix has been teaching you occlumency. What are you trying to hide from your master? Like, it is way less vague. He thinks that they're in this classroom, that nobody's listening. Like, oh my God. But he had to have known Harry was going to follow them.
I think he wanted Harry to follow them and
Maybe.
hear them.
Oh. I think we just found our Potter pondering.
Yeah. Do you think Snape was aware and wanted Harry to follow and overhear the conversation between he and Malfoy?
Yeah, because at this point, we're really supposed to think Snape is on the wrong side.
We are.
But if he is deliberately, I'll escort him out in the movie, or come with me, I need to have a word with you, right in front of Harry James meddling Marie Potter, then that could have been intentional.
It could have. And I believe with everything we end up learning about Snape later, that it 100% is.
Interesting. But what it boils down to, and I don't feel like this really happened in the movie either so much, Snape keeps trying to offer to help him.
And he just keeps saying no.
And he just keeps saying no. All we really got in the movie was him like, I have to help you. I made the unbreakable vow. Whereas in the book, he says that too. But he's like, I made the unbreakable vow. I promised your mom. And Nazi von Douchebag's just like, then you're going to have to break it. I don't need help.
Yeah. It's like, you shouldn't have done that. I don't need your help. You just really cursed yourself, dude.
Yeah. At this point, VD2 is coming across more childish and scared. In the book, I feel like he's a little bit more defiant but scared. The defiance is more prevalent.
Yeah, with the statements he makes during that conversation with Snape in the book, yes, it is a lot more like defiance or even like teenage rebellion.
Yes, and we know that that's coming from fear.
Yes.
But it's not the driving factor of his line delivery in the movie.
No, in the movie, he's just terrified.
Yeah. In the book, he is literally saying these stupid, childish things. He's not being defiant so much as he's being dumb.
Mm-hmm.
He literally thinks he's got this.
Oh, yeah. It's that, again, that whole normal, at least from the movies, Malfoy sense of entitlement. I am the shit. I won't get caught. Do you know who I am attitude?
Yeah. And then the comment in the book that he doesn't make in the movie was, you're just trying to steal my glory.
Right. No, Malfoy, he's not.
That's
Snape
not at
doesn't
all what
want
that
your
is.
glory. He offered to help you because you're a child, and he actually does, despite his constant RBF, give a shit.
And Snape flat out tells him that he's speaking like a child.
Yes, and he is.
And he even tries to, now granted, Snape is about as comforting as a porcupine.
Oh, yeah, he's not.
He tries to say, look, I understand that you're upset over your father's capture and imprisonment. Good job, Snape. Really, really comforting there. Because Draco's just like, fuck you, dude. And he just walks away so quickly that Harry barely has time to move to the side when he just flings that door open. And he just like has to like fall over, crouch down, hope that he's not seen. And Draco just goes off down the corridor. He's done. He's not talking anymore. He just walks away.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine being at a point, that level of entitlement that you could just walk away from Professor Snape?
No. And we see a very streamlined version of this in the movie. And this is a scene that actually in the book and in the movie leaves me feeling very sad, because Snape mentioning, I understand you're upset about this thing, was really him being empathetic.
Right.
It just,
He's not good at it.
He's not good at it. No, but like, that was a legitimate, like, come on, Malfoy. It is what's driving you to do this.
And he does say in the movie, he does say that he's scared. He does tell Malfoy that. But by that point, the camera is focused on Harry, who's just leaning against the wall, listening in.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real, I almost want to say drama about it. Because that's the first time where I feel like the book was a little bit more dramatic than the movie, with Harry nearly getting hit by the door and nearly getting caught spying on them. In this, he was just there listening around the corner.
Yeah,
and
it's like he took on no risk. No risk in doing it. Like you've been saying, it's lemon water. It's not lemonade, but it does keep us moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it really did. But on the plus side, with us having control over where we cut the movie section, and we made it line up really well with this book chapter, it does end on Harry clearly thinking about what he just overheard. Both of them.
Yep, 100%.
Granted, in the book, he's crouched under a cloak. In the movie, he's hidden around the corner. But same place.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar thing just happened. The lemon water version in the movie, but hey, plot moves forward. There's not really any new actors to talk about. Cormac had his moment earlier on with the Quidditch trials. Harry and Hermione plenty of time. Slughorn plenty. Luna walked to the party with him but didn't have any moments at all. And god damn, I would have loved for her to talk about the Rot Fang conspiracy.
I really would have too in the movie. Ugh. Like she walks in with him and then all of a sudden Luna's gone. There's no more Luna.
No more Luna. Snape we've talked about plenty of times. But we can just move on to the Potter Pondering, which, as we decided partway into this episode, do you think that Snape meant for Harry to overhear the conversation between him and Malfoy during Slughorn's party? Find the post on our Facebook page and share your thoughts. Or call us at 216-526-6792 and leave your response as a voicemail. Make sure you start off telling us your name and then go into your answer. Don't forget, you can also stitch your response on TikTok.
We really look forward to reading, hearing, and seeing them.
This week's Wizarding Word is that the Food Network announced the upcoming launch of an exciting new baking program, all inspired by Harry Potter. Set at Warner Brothers Studio Tour London, The Making of Harry Potter, fans can expect spellbinding, sweet creations, special guests, and much more.
We've got an article about this that we'll share on our Facebook page for you, so you can read a little bit more about it. Looks like there is a YouTube video attached to that article that you can watch. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Apparently, it's going to be a baking competition show, which I kind of love this idea. It says, Harry Potter, Wizards of Baking invites fans to mix, whisk, and glaze their way to success, with professional pastry chefs competing against each other to create enchanting sweet treats themed around the Harry Potter stories. I really hope that this is something that at the end of it, you get a cookbook that you can purchase. So you can make everything they create.
Yes, I'm really hoping for that as well. On top of that, do you guys need any special guest judges? Somebody to taste the food and decide who made it better? Because I'm free.
Right? Actually, it'd be really fun to be on the show.
Yeah, I don't want to bake. I just want to eat your food.
But I'm not professional, so...
I don't think we have to be.
It says professional pastry chefs. I meant to be on the show. But to eat the food, definitely don't have to. I am a professional pastry chef eater.
Yes.
100%.
I just want to eat the food. I don't need to bake it. I can be a professional judge of your work.
Absolutely. I would be watching this. This sounds really neat. So we'll have this article posted for you, and you guys can keep an eye on it as well. That's going to bring us to this week's trivia question, which is, what is the angel at the top of the Weasley's Christmas tree? The first one who responds with a correct answer and the code word #NotAnAngel will get a sticker.
Another way to get a sticker is to rate and review us through iTunes. If you don't have an Apple account, then you can write us a recommendation on our Facebook page. Make sure to email us at foxsakepod@gmail.com and let us know you did, and we'll get back to you to figure out which sticker you want and where to send it.
Don't forget to find us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at FoxSakePod. Following us on Podbean at FoxSakePod will get you the episode as early as possible and give you a leg up in answering the trivia question. You can also go to our website at forfoxsakepodcast.com to check out our For Fox's Sake and Harry Potter related merchandise for sale.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we post our weekly podcast episodes, cooking show episodes, vlogs, bloopers, and other random videos.
If you would like to become a patron, you can find us on Patreon at Fawkes Pod. Patronage starts at $2 and will get you some awesome perks like for Fawkes swag, access to our Discord channel, chats, and more. Check out our page for the details. Any support you can give is greatly appreciated. And join us next week when we talk about the first half of Chapter 16, A Very Frosty Christmas, and the slightly corresponding film scenes.
Until next time, guys, have a great wizarding time.
Thanks for listening. Hope you hear us again. I'm Karlee.
I'm Ellen, and we are
For Fawkes' sake.